I think dance is a terrific art form that so many people are involved in and participate in and watch, but not necessarily have easy access to it beyond seeing it live in a performance or on screen. So seeing a wealth of dance, the whole history of dance, the way in which you would go to a CD collection for music or a series of play texts or whatever for theatre, or even the art objects if it's visual art. For dance it's much more difficult to get access. So all of us are thinking about how do we make this art form more accessible via an online platform in some way.
Here Coventry University said we want to do an archive, and I at that point don't think either organisation really very understandably meant exactly what kind of detail it could entail. So the moment you found one work, how we would then present that work on an archive with as much detail as we were able to muster about that particular work, whether it be 30 years old or 2 years old, to look at that detail and organise it in the most engaging design sense was a challenge for all of us. So as a body of work, it was a teacher all the way through. Only later did I sort of take the time to think about it and go, hell, all your work is easily available to anybody in the world at any time of the day. And of course I had to find the honesty to turn around and go, some of it's not very good. But that, in the archival sense, in the dissemination of one artist's story and progress, that's irrelevant. So I had to make myself conscious of the relevancy of the archive and the irrelevancy of not everything one produces being good enough.
Well, I think each of us who have been involved in these projects that have come together have been aware that dance is usually encountered through an audience seeing a live event, or it may be on screen, but they're seeing the final performed event. They rarely get any insight into the process of making the work, because it's usually a very private process. It takes place behind closed doors in rehearsal studios. The documentation that's generated by those involved in that process is rarely published in any way.
So, west, south, west, east, east,
What intrigued me was that a group of people whose thinking and work practice exists far outside a dance practice, that they would be drawn into this circle of contemplating what information is. So they look at it from an anthropological or a digital or a technology aspect and start to reflect back on us about what we do. So by reflecting back, the conversation starts. The moment the conversation starts, you start to reveal information. The moment you reveal information, then people can plug in as they can plug into this and say, okay, this is what they do. What can we learn from this? How does dance thinking or embodied thinking or neurological thinking come into play?
In a nutshell, we are interested in how dance is knowledge producing, and how do we communicate that discovery of what it is that dance produces in its performance, in its encounter audience to live, in its relationship between maybe the online user and the digital. So it's about the knowledge that is generated, created and translated to through whatever medium or platform it is. I think that dance probably has been the poor relation for a long time, and it's probably because the problem it has of documenting itself, and we don't have a history, a body of work in dance as we do with the other art forms. It goes back to what I said earlier, that with dance there's very little notated in a way that then can be reconstructed conducted by others, relatively speaking. There's very little captured on film, relatively speaking. There's very little in text form compared to the other art forms. It's not an art form that once you see it live, you can then go out and buy the video or the CD or buy the photo album. So one of the important aspects of this project and other related projects is that we start to generate a body of work where future scholars, viewers, audience members can look back and to see work and how it's been generated and how it starts to create canons and traditions, and hopefully will redress that balance and enable dance to have a much better status within our cultural lives.